Hey guys, I thought I would do a quick video on some of the equipment that I use to shoot this vlog. I've had a couple of questions about some of the equipment and gear that I use, and my oldest son recently, he's become interested in being a vlogger now. So I'm going to assume that you're new to vlogging, that you maybe don't have a background in photography and don't know much about cameras. I'm not going to go into too much depth on each item. I just want to give you some general guidelines in case you're looking to purchase some equipment. And this is also just my perspective. This is the equipment that I use to shoot the way that I like to shoot. These choices are all going to be really individual and tailored to the way that you decide to shoot and the way that you want to vlog. To start, you're going to need some sort of a recording device. Now this doesn't necessarily have to be a camera. It could be a cell phone, it could be a webcam. There's lots of different things that you could use that you may even have already around the house today. When I started, I just picked up my wife's camera. She had purchased the Canon M series. So this is their APS-C sensor size camera. It's lighter, it's portable, it's flexible, and it shoots video. So I started off with this. We bought this camera because I have a background in photography, so I've got quite a bit of investment in Canon DSLR gear. And the nice thing about the Canon M series is that I can purchase an adapter for the body, which allows me to mount all of my existing Canon EF lenses. So that's a really big plus for me. I eventually upgraded this camera to the M3 series. This was the M1. I believe they're up to the M10 now, but Santa brought me the M3 body as an upgrade to the M1. It had some significant improvements as a vlogging camera. I'm shooting with that one right now, and it's got some features, for example, like a flip-up LCD screen. So this screen is fixed, I can't move it. But the M3 has a flip-up screen that I can orient and view. So like I'm actually watching the LCD viewer now, looking at the lens at the same time, which is great. The other thing that makes these cameras really nice for vlogging is that they have an audio input jack. And I'll talk a little bit about that later, but it allows me to mount an external microphone, which I think is a really big plus as well. And that's all about that. The next thing you should think about is choosing a lens. A zoom lens is going to give you more creative control over your composition. So with a zoom lens in the focal lengths of a wide to a medium focal length are going to be ideal for vlogging. So that's going to be anywhere in the zoom range of 11 or 14 to maybe 50 or 60. That's going to be really ideal for vlogging. If you're going to be doing this kind of shooting, up close and personal, interviews, sort of things, you don't really need what's considered to be a telephoto focal length. That's going to be anything over 80 into the hundreds. That's really not necessary for vlogging of this style. Another quick tip I can give around purchasing a lens is to spend equal or more than you spent on your camera body. So if you spent $1,000 on your camera body, don't put an $800 lens on it. Lenses, however, are a really good investment. If you spend quite a bit of money on a good lens, it will most likely retain its value. The Canon M series came with a kit lens. It's 22 millimeters. That's what I'm shooting with now. I believe it's an f2.0, which is what I'm shooting at now. That allows me to get a nice little blurry background, really sharp lens. Prime lenses tend to be a little sharper than zoom lenses, but of course the trade-off is that you don't have the flexibility of being able to change the focal length. I then purchased this lens, this upgrade lens, which is an 1855. This is for the M series. It's an M series mount. And so this is a great lens. It's compact. It's right in those focal ranges that I think are appropriate for vlogging. And I've done some side-by-side quality comparison tests between this lens and the Canon's more expensive L series lenses, and the differences are... So I've experimented with a couple of cheap eBay microphones and didn't have a lot of success. I eventually upgraded to this microphone that I'm shooting with now, and I will disconnect it so you can hear the difference. So that is the camera built-in microphone. This is the Rode Video Micro microphone, and it's made for this sort of application. It's very small, very compact. The windscreen comes off to be a form factor that's a little longer than my middle finger. Comes with a really nice windscreen that's furry. It makes people smile when they see it. And the purpose of this sort of microphone is called a shotgun microphone. So really, it's going to pick up the audio of whatever you're pointing at it. And it's going to reduce the environmental noise around it. So I have cars in the background. I've got house noises that you can't hear because I'm using the shotgun microphone. So the next thing I'll talk about is rigging. You're going to have a camera, you're going to have all these accessories, and you're going to need a way to manage and mount all of these accessories. So in terms of rigging, what I use is this Manfrotto mini tripod. I think this thing's great. So the legs fold out and I can place the camera on a table. The legs fold back in, and with this ball joint, I can use this as a handle. So this will mount to the tripod port on the body. This then becomes a multi-use handle, so I can actually handhold the camera. I can spread the legs and mount it onto a table, and that provides a really good one-handed operation for my camera. The next thing I purchased is a handle. So this is a relatively inexpensive aluminum handle made by a company called Movo. Purchased it on Amazon, I believe around $30, $40. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong. This is the handle application. This is an extended hot shoe tray, and these come in various sizes as you would need. This I think is a 4-inch size. So this whole unit mounts to the flash hot shoe port on the camera. You get a really good secure connection. You lock that down. And then what this enables is two-handed operation of my camera. So now I can use both hands to stabilize the video. I get a pretty smooth operation with it. If I need to shoot low angles, I can just grab the handle and put my camera down lower. If I set my camera down on a table, I can just use the handle to grab and go. So this top handle now becomes a really nice way of managing the camera. Then the hot shoe tray is where I'll mount the microphone. So you'll see the big furry microphone sitting on top of the camera right next to the lens. And that's my rig. I try to keep my rig as relatively simple as possible. I get a little self-conscious if I'm carrying around a huge package trying to film stuff. I like to be as inconspicuous as possible. So I like to keep my rig as small as possible as well. Then the next thing I recommend you get for shooting in low light conditions is some sort of a light. These again are really inexpensive. These aren't flash strobes like you would think of in photography. These are actually these really simple, relatively inexpensive LED lights. So I'm actually using one right now just to fill in some of the shadows. I think you can see the difference. There's without the light, there's with the light. The light is on its lowest setting. It's an adjustable light, so you can crank it up if you need to. And for shooting at nighttime, shooting faces, doing interviews, these things are really indispensable. So the other reason for investing in a more affordable camera platform was that it allowed me to purchase other cameras so that I can do a multi-camera setup. And the other cameras that I chose to use are these GoPros. I find these things personally incredibly amazing. Santa just brought me the newer, the GoPro Hero 5. This is the Hero 5 Session. And in this tiny little package, I can shoot 4K. It's voice activated. It shoots burst photos, it shoots regular photos, it shoots 4K video. I find this amazing. And the nice thing about the Session over the Hero is just its compact size. So it's literally smaller than the size of my palm, and it comes with an unlimited amount of mounting options. This one I find extremely flexible so that I can just angle it, clip it somewhere, and then I can shoot another angle of whatever it is that I'm focusing on. These things are indispensable. I own 2 of them. You can get the older ones cheaper on eBay for less than a couple $100, and I can't say enough about how cool these are. So once you get everything shot, you're going to have to edit in some sort of a post-production workflow. What I've adopted is an application called DaVinci Resolve. I personally love it. It was originally developed for color correction for professional production, And they've just recently, with DaVinci Resolve version 12, I believe, they've added the whole non-linear editing capability. So it's really an end-to-end workflow for color correcting, editing, compressing. You really can go head to tails with it. If you've never used a non-linear editing system, it's going to seem a little intimidating at first. It's a relatively steep learning curve. I use lynda.com to just really get into it and learn how to use the software completely. I started with iMovie, and people tend to snicker a lot when you mention iMovie, but the newer version, I believe it's version 10, it's a really capable editing system. There's no shame in using it. It's really capable. It makes some creative decisions for you, but that's also why it's incredibly easy and super fast to use. You literally can just drop in your videos, arrange them how you want to. You can let it do all of your transitions for you. And when it comes to outputting is super simple. You just say, this is going to YouTube, this is going to go to Vimeo, and it'll just do all the decisions for you. A couple other things to mention about digital video, if it's not something that you're familiar with. One thing to consider is noise. I mentioned this earlier, but noise can be a problem, especially in low light and high ISO levels. So you're going to want to try to pick either a recording device that handles noise well, or like I mentioned, using lights to reduce noise. And also your post-production software, you need to find something that will allow you to reduce noise. Another thing to consider is image stabilization. Image stabilization tends to be that one thing that separates the amateurs from the more professional looking videos. Image stabilization comes in 3 different types. So there's what's called optical or hardware stabilization, and that's where the lens itself is actually moving inside to reduce the shake. That's going to be much better than the second one, which is software stabilization. So that's where the software is actually blowing up your picture and then just showing a portion of it and moving that. So it's moving the actual recorded image, not the original image. So you're going to lose a little bit of quality. You're going to lose actually some of the resolution of your picture. And then the third, which is another financial investment, but it's called a gimbal. I personally prefer these, although I haven't purchased one yet. But a gimbal basically is a piece of is a device that's a handle with a motorized carriage, and you put your camera in the carriage and you can basically twist and turn the handle in any direction, and it'll always keep the camera pointed at the horizon. So it's a fantastic technology that's starting to come down in price a little bit. I believe the cheapest one you can pick up is around $300. So you'll find when you start shooting video that your hard drives will fill up really fast. So you're gonna need a strategy around archiving and storing all that video. For me personally, I want to try to save and retain as much of the video that I shoot as possible over time. I think I may want to reuse footage that I've shot in previous years or previous months. Some people I've heard will just delete everything from project to project. It's really up to you and it's your strategy, but definitely don't find yourself in the situation where now your hard drives are full, you're in the middle of a project and you don't know what to do. Think about that ahead of time. That's about it. I hope this has been useful to you. If you have questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer them. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this, then be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys later.